Hey, it's the Jets fan from Utah. Week 9 versus the Chargers. Let's get right into it. What's the surprise? Is there a surprise with last night's result? And if you didn't expect that sort of result, you aren't or have not been watching this franchise through the years. I predicted it on last week's episode. I said the Jets would have a home stinker, that Khalil Mack will have a tremendous night. Zach would be running for his life, taking sacks left and right. Yeah, it all happened. It's not rocket science. It's not rocket science. What else needs to be said that hasn't already been said? Zach Wilson is completely awful. He doesn't belong in the NFL. Receivers have got to be wide open for him to make a completion, or he gets lucky. Not every QB in this league who has been successful has wide receivers open all the time, but they place the ball where the wide receiver can catch it. Wilson doesn't have that ability. He can't see over the line. He hasn't learned about holding the ball too long. This problem is not new with him. What does he think? What does he think is going to happen when he holds the ball forever? And who is coaching him? Coaching. Like grabbing him after he makes yet another mistake and say, "What are you doing?" The only one I see him talking to him on the sideline when he comes off the field is Boyle, the backup. Why isn't a coach or Hackett or the QB coach or Salah, someone in his face saying, "What are you doing? Have you not learned by now in year 3? After the second sack or so that Wilson took, why wasn't he instructed to roll out on pass plays or even roll back after being in a shotgun formation? Take another 3-step drop back after that. At least he'd be able to see the field better. He'd be able to move around better, but he's holding the ball forever in the pocket. The offensive line, we know about the offensive line. This problem is years old. Yet word at the trade deadline is that they wanted Davante Adams. Wait, what? That would have cost you picks. Did they offer any picks for offensive linemen anywhere which they needed more than Davante Adams? What is Joe Douglas doing? There's the coaching, or lack thereof. Salah, all the mistakes that they were making last night, that's on you, man. Because you don't get in anybody's face when they make a mistake. All the great coaches will do that from time to time, not Salah. He is a fair weather coach. All animated when things go right, dumbfounded and silent when they don't. Zero accountability. Look at Nick Saban. He'll scream at guys when they're making mistakes. Oh, but after a win, they're all smiling there with him after the game. Winning cures a lot of things. This team is lucky they aren't 1-7. The only reason why is their defense and luck. As I mentioned weeks ago, the franchise is screwed going forward. They have no cap space to get any offensive line next year. There's going to have to be a lot of restructuring to even create space. And Wilson cannot be on the team next year. Rodgers is old, so once again, they have no quarterback of the future. And this is a good quarterback draft. And the Jets will have to forego selecting yet another quarterback of the future. They're going to have to forego it. They need offensive linemen. You take another quarterback in the first round instead of offensive line, Rodgers will have a fit. And the offensive line will be just as bad as it is now. And then, what happens when it's contract time for the draft class of last year? They won't be able to pay Sauce and Garrett and Jermaine and Brees. But the bigger question will be, do they want to be here? All right? That's right. You think last night was a one-off? No. Last night's game was last year's Patriots game. Remember that one? After that, the wheels fell off. Well, the spokes were scattered around all over MetLife Stadium last night because this team has now become unglued. You can see the frustration in everybody's faces. Defense mostly. The whole franchise has yet again stepped on the Zach Wilson banana peel. They are now unglued. This is an exact repeat of last year's debacle. But the one thing that separates last year's debacle and this year's latest installment of futility is it's in prime time. The whole nation gets to watch this mess several times a year. Anybody see Saleh in the post-game interview? What's wrong, coach? Why so sullen? Hint for you, coach. Pick your head up. Face the person who's asking you the question during typical Jet disasters like this. Don't hang your head. Hey, you got no problem gloating when you win. Did you embarrass Justin Herbert last night? He had a key run for an important first down last night, deep in Charger territory. I don't think you embarrassed him last night. You were an embarrassment with your team again. As I mentioned before, where's all the talk? Where's all of that tough talk now? All that preseason tough talk and jargon. When does a smart man walk into the room? Anyone see him? Because I'm still waiting. If you can gloat after victories, at least pick your head up and face the crowd asking you the questions. You have a mutiny coming, coach. You don't have the ability to handle such a thing. As far as the game against the Raiders, anyone truly think they can beat the Raiders? They have been historically bad against the Raiders. They have scored 8 touchdowns in 8 games. Yes, the New York Jets. One of those, Philly let Breece Hall just walk into the end zone. So really, it's 7. Last thing I'll say is all gas, no brakes. Yes, that's right. What usually happens with all gas and no brakes? You got it, a car wreck. And that's what this franchise is, and it's one step further. It's a train wreck. I don't expect them to beat the Raiders, and I don't think anybody should.